Hello, friend. I'm Jabril Youssef Faraj, author of Guardians of the Cosmic Clocks, the Emerald Tablets, and I'm going to be doing a little reading for you today. So, glad you're here, and let's get started. Guardians of the Cosmic Clocks, the Emerald Tablets, Book 1. For all the little girls and boys who are destined to change the world. Chapter 1. How much is ever enough? As a blood-red sun descended over the Nashville evergreens, a little black girl peered out her second-story window, gazing longingly at the horizon. It was the last day of summer, and Zya Nicole Jenkins didn't want it to end. Zya, an old soul in the body of a 12-year-old, sat on her bed, back arrow straight with one leg tucked underneath. Staring off into the sky, she mindlessly stroked the coat of her dachshund beagle, Hercules. The big, brown egg of a spot over his eye made him look sad most of the time. But Zya knew the truth. He was simply unimpressed. "Yeah, you and me both," she whispered, scratching him right between the eyes. Zya was jealous of Herc sometimes. Her calendar was crazy. She was scheduled for something different every night of the week. If it wasn't voice lessons, it was guitar. If it wasn't cheer, she was tagging along to one of her mom's gigs or babysitting the annoying next-door neighbor. And that was without complex fractions. There was always something she had to do, and yet somehow Herc had found a way to be part of the family and still lounge around all day. In fact, it's what he was best at. Zya, on the other hand, she'd always been a little wild. Well, wilder than most of the other kids, at least. And sometimes it got her in a pickle. Like that one time she blew up on Dane after he poked her under the desk the entire class period. And of course, Mrs. Myers didn't notice a thing until she struck back. She thought it was quite clever of her, and deserved, to grab his hand and pull so quickly that it caused Dane's head to smack against the desk. Mrs. Myers disagreed. Somehow, she was always the one who got in trouble, even when she was just standing up for herself. As far as Zya was concerned, though, being spunky was less of a problem than a superpower. The only problem was that most people were too blind to see for themselves. Herc extended his chin as if to point out exactly where he'd like to receive his scratches, and Zya obliged. She loved him more than anything else. Well, almost anything else. Anyone but Elijah. Zya and Elijah had known each other since they were 5 or 6, and the two were basically inseparable. He was a grade ahead and balanced Zya's impulsive, headstrong nature with a more cautious and soft-spoken approach. Eli was always tinkering, and anything with gears and circuits was fair game. "You should be an inventor or something," she said the last time they were together as she watched him work on a circuit board. "That'd be cool," he said, shrugging his shoulders, attention glued to his latest obsession. He was quiet, and yet Zya got the feeling he wanted more than he let on. In that way, they were the same. She had such little control over her life, and on top of that, for some reason, adults always assumed she was incapable of making decisions or thinking for herself. It was infuriating. All she wanted was respect, and she didn't think she was asking for too much. "Just wait," they'd say. "Appreciate your childhood." But none of them seemed to understand. Zya was a dreamer. All around her, strewn across the bed, lay pads and pieces of paper with notes, drawings, story snippets, songs. Zya's mother was protective, and so often she was forced to imagine the world rather than experience it for herself. So imagine she did. Zya dreamed of heroes and heroines, dragons and pirates, and precocious children traversing the galaxy. But not her. No, to Zya, sometimes it didn't feel like she was going anywhere, like life was just passing her by. Sunrises and sunsets, family dinners and trips to school and back, it all slipped by with the kind of speed you could only understand when you're perfectly unmoved. More than anything else, she just wanted to be free, to feel real, make her own decisions, and control her life. When she was big enough, Zya decided she'd go anywhere she wanted, whenever she wanted. But it wasn't up to her right now, and it sucked. Big time. Zya loved her mom, a lot, but there were just some things she couldn't talk about with her. She'd always been able to relate more on that level with her father. He always listened, at least. But it had been years since they'd moved away, and to tell you the truth, she didn't really know him anymore. Sure, they'd seen each other once or twice when he came to town on business, but that just wasn't enough, and most of the warm memories of youth were long gone by now. She remembered feeling good when they were together, but anymore she almost couldn't remember the feeling at all. Sometimes she wondered why he didn't want to see her. Zya dreamed up reasons that would make it better, an explanation that would make her heart hurt less. Maybe he'd become a criminal mastermind, orchestrating global crimes like a James Bond villain. Or maybe he was a paragon of virtue, a literal modern-day saint working to feed and clothe the poor. But no matter what she imagined, she couldn't shake the feeling that she wanted him here. She tried to cry, but her body almost wouldn't let her. She didn't want to do that anymore. The tears were too much, and she didn't like feeling out of control. But all of a sudden, memories of him pushing her on the swings, washing dishes together, and riding bikes flashed through her mind. And as she smiled a nostalgic smile, a single tear slid gracefully down her cheek. "Zya," her mother yelled up the stairs. "Dinner's ready." "Coming," Zya yelled back. She lingered at the window for just another moment. Zya didn't want to go downstairs. Not now. Not like this. The only true peace she had to herself was here. Well, here and in the forest, where she could climb trees and run as fast as she wanted. But she knew if she didn't go now, her mother would be back, and she wouldn't be happy about it. So she wiped her eyes with the sleeve of her shirt, and giving Herc a healthy pat, reluctantly gathered herself. Zya was tall and lanky, with butterscotch skin. Her small round nose and sharp eyebrows were striking for a child of 12. Full cheeks led down to a buttoned chin that balanced the rest of her face. She wore a pair of Levi's jeans, black shirt with the word "fearless" written on the front in gold glitter, and topped off the getup with a pair of mismatched socks. Bounding down the stairs like a wild banshee, she slid into the kitchen and popped perfectly into her chair, not a moment too late. Zya's mother stood in front of the stove, and the sizzle of freshly breaded drumsticks dancing in hot oil played on her eardrums like a symphony. My favorite, she said, licking her lips. I thought you'd like that, said her mother without turning. And even though she couldn't see her face, Zya could tell her mother was smiling. Her mother placed a drumstick and a thigh on a plate next to mac and cheese, mashed potatoes, and broccoli, and placed the plate in front of her. Antonio, her mom's live-in boyfriend, was already digging in, so Zya sunk her teeth into the crunchy skin. She took another bite and wondered, while chewing, why her mom and Antonio didn't just get married already. But that was adult stuff, she told herself, shrugging off the thought. I'm telling ya, he said in between crunches, you could sell this stuff. Zya rolled her eyes. Her mom's cooking was good, but it wasn't first place at the state fair good. Good? Her mother asked over her shoulder. Zya said, mouth packed to the brim. Zya didn't like to brag, but she was a bit of a genius. Socially, that is. She knew how to say just enough to satisfy the grown-ups without saying too much. That was the trick. Don't say too much. She almost always got in trouble when she said too much. It was a delicate balance, and she played the game well. Then again, as an only child, she'd been dealing with them her whole life. I was planning to meet up with Elijah after dinner, Zya said, swallowing her food. It's the first day of school tomorrow, her mother said without looking up. You need to get your rest. Zya took another bite. She stared down at the table, avoiding eye contact. But her mother didn't even turn around to witness the performance. Besides, have you practiced your guitar today? You're not going anywhere until that's done. Don't forget, you've got your voice lessons tomorrow night too. Zya let out a groan. Her mother had had enough. Turning around, she shot a look of daggers. You can put that attitude right back where it came from, young lady. This time, she waited for her mother to turn back to the stove before making a face. And oh, it was a magnificent face, tongue thrust through her lips like a defiant little flagpole. But Antonio caught her in the act. Don't disrespect your mother like that, he said. After all she does for you. She made a face at him, too. You're not my father. No, he sure isn't, her mother snapped. Antonio didn't walk out on us. Zya dropped the unfinished drumstick on her plate, and her chair screeched against the kitchen floor as she pushed herself back from the table. Don't test me, her mother warned. Zya glared intently, like she was trying to make her mother disappear. And then, in the lightest turn, she spoke with a calm, conciliatory tone. I'd like to go to bed early, please. If you think that's best, her mother said, turning back to the food. Zya was furious. All of her pent-up frustration was on the verge of boiling over. She fantasized about stomping her way up the stairs, but she knew that was a shortcut to a whooping, so she restrained herself. She walked straight up to the second floor, through her bedroom door, and locked it behind her with a click. She was tempted to pout and feel sorry for herself, but she wasn't a baby anymore. She was 12. Pouting was for babies. Besides, Zya knew throwing a tantrum wouldn't get her anywhere, so she gathered herself with a big, deep breath, and a wave of calm washed over her. If she wanted something different, she'd have to do something different, and she knew what she had to do. That's all for today. Make sure to come back next week. I'll be reading chapter 2. And if you liked what you heard, please check out Guardians of the Cosmic Clocks. The paperback, the ebook, the audiobook. is available on any of your major online retailers, including Amazon, barnesandnoble.com, Apple Books, Audible, and more. Or you can go to guardiansofthecosmicclocks.com and find all the links right there. If you really loved what you heard tonight, you can become a patron for just a few dollars a month and get free signed copies in your mailbox anytime I publish. Or if you'd like to join our community another way, just go to Guardians of the Cosmic Clocks and join our mailing list so you can be notified when I put out new books. Until next time, keep being yourself, and don't forget, you can be a hero wherever you are.